Okay? We're learning about the judicial system of the Jewish people. Mishpat seems to be a national and not a private matter. And that would be subject one. So in the idea, or in the case that you cannot decide the law in the lower courts, we have a higher court. We bring it to the high court in the Beit HaMikdash, the place that God chooses, that God Hashem chooses, and you said it's nicknamed in the Mishnah Sanhedrin. Nickname in the Mishnah Sanhedrin. Okay, we're learning in general. Any questions about this subject right now related to the text? If not, let's go on. Pasuk Yudalid, after the ending of this aliyah, verse 14. Okay, what do you identify, gentlemen, in this next upcoming subject?
Appointing Malachim.
The appointing of a melech. Okay? Notice, when will it happen? When can it only happen? Notice the key terms in verse 14. Ki tavo el haaretz asher Hashem Elokecha noten lach. And now the next two important words. V'rishta v'yashafta ba. Lareshet et haaretz is the mitzvah of, according to some authorities, the mitzvah of conquering the land. That's only part one. Conquering the land is not sufficient. As the Ramban Nachmanides writes in his comments to the book of Mitzvot of Maimonides, there's a mitzvah to settle the land as well and make sure it's under our sovereignty, which means S-T-A-T-E, commonly called in Hebrew,
Medina.
I quote you, Zachariah. Medina. So there's the mitzvah of lareshet, conquering, and the mitzvah of lashevet, or lihityashev, to settle the land. Yes, you're working for the garbage department of Yerushalayim and cleaning the street. That's settling the land. You're working in gardening and flowering the country. That's settling the land. He puts up electric poles and you put up telephone wires. That is settling the land. It's all part of the mitzvah of lashevet or lityashev, to make it nicer, and so on and so forth. So there are some that say it's actually a Mishnah Masechet Sanhedrin. Is it a mitzvah to appoint a king? Or is it rashut? If you want to, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. The Rambam, in the laws of Beit HaBechira, yes, chapter 1, law number 1 says, he quotes a Braita, an external Mishnah, 3 mitzvot the nation of Israel incumbent upon them when they enter into the land. Number 1, to go to war against Amalek, to appoint a king and build a Beit HaMikdash. According to the Rambam, Maimonides, it's a mitzvah. According to the Netziv of Volozhin, Rav Naftali Yitzui the Berliner, in his understanding from all the literature before him, he lived 150 years ago. I'm supposed to wake up, so I'll try to wake up right now. According to the Netziv, if the nation demands, if the majority of the nation demands a king, then you appoint a king. It has to, like a grassroots matter, has to come from the will and desire of the nation. That's his understanding. In any event, a king is a very high national position, and there are a lot of prohibitions regarding the king. For instance, in verse 16, regarding the king, he can't have too many what?
Horses.
Number 2, wives. Number 3,
Silver and gold.
Hebrew,
Kesef.
kesef and zahav. Why do you think these prohibitions are applicable to a king? The king is not just a political position. He's supposed to be a mirror to the King of Heaven. Through him, we're supposed to get even closer to Hashem. So he has to be the example of a God-fearing Jew. And anything that can take away from his spiritual status. Yes, he has to be a political leader, and he has to be a military leader. It's clear the Rambam writes all these things from the Talmud. But he has to be a spiritual leader, to the extent that what must be at his side? Verse 18, let's read it. Vayachil shifto, when he's sitting on his kingdom, al kisei mamlachto, vechatav lo, he should write for himself et mishnei haTorah hazot. Mishnei, the root of the word
Shani.
Shnayim. He has to have two Sifrei Torah. Rashi says in the name of the Talmud, one that's in his palace, and one that whenever he travels, he takes it out. He can use it when he's journeying. It's like your pocket edition of when you're on a bus or a train and you take out something to learn, or you open up your cell phone and you learn some Torah. Mishnei HaTorah Azot. Don't get it baffled that you might have thought Mishneh Torah means which Torah?
Rambam's Torah.
You're right. That doesn't. It's not a prophecy to the Rambam. But which Chumash is called nicknamed Mishneh Torah? Devarim, Deuteronomy. Very good. Right? It's nicknamed Mishneh Torah. Do you remember why we studied this 2 months ago? Why is it nicknamed Mishneh Torah?
Have to repeat it.
There are a lot of repetitions of things mentioned earlier in the Torah, Mishneh. And in fact, the mitzvah for the study of Torah, in the Kriyat Shema, which verb does Hashem use? That you shall teach your sons. What's the word in Hebrew? Say it. Vishinantam. It too is the word. It's over here. Thank you. Vishinantam. Do you see Shnayim also in here? Lishanein is to repeat. Torah is to be repeated. Torah, it's not like the academic world. You studied something, you know it, that's it. Now you can dust your shelves. We, every year, repeat the Chumash. I learn Mishnah, I repeat the Mishnah again. I learn Gemara, review, and I review, and I review. There's no end. It's endless. Okay? So, Mishneh Torah is the essence of the Torah. It's study and the repetition of the Torah. So you see here, the reason for all these matters, these prohibitions, limitations, let's see in verse 20, Levilti rum levavo mechav. He shouldn't feel that he's up and above everyone and his brothers. He has to have humility. So, limitation on money, women, and horses. Horses, in Tanakhic times, represented like your phantom fighters. Your F-16s, right? That was a method of war. And if someone has too many weapons, he'll say, "Oh, Hashem, I don't need you. I'll take care. I have enough war kalim for myself." Okay, no, you have to have all your trust. So you have to make your efforts, have enough what you need, but not more. So we have limitations on the king and his finances and the amount of wives. So he shall not be strayed away. That's subject number 2. So we started off, let's just make sure we have a matter. We started off with subject number 1 of the parsha called what? One word? Okay, maybe we'll call it Mishpat. Next.
Menachem.
Melucha, very good. The kingdom. Justice, Mishpat. And now let's go to subject number 3. Subject number 3, we're up to Shlishi, chapter Yud Chet. And now we come to who? As you're reading, scanning. Who are we coming to? Keep on reading. Just Kohanim?
Kohanim from the Levim.
Right. Further. Shevet Levi, right, very good. So here we see special laws of the Torah in regards to Shevet Levi. As we all know, Shevet Levi is forked to 2, Leviim and Kohanim. When you become older, you want to become a Kohen or a Levi? What? No?
I can't.
You can't be, I see. It's built in. If your Abba is a Kohen, you're a Kohen. If your Abba is a Levi, you're a Levi.
Could be revealed to be a Levi.
Maybe doesn't know, right? Okay, gentlemen, the prohibition, the opening prohibition in chapter 18. Lo yela konim alevim kol shevet Levi. Here it is. Chelek v'nachala im Yisrael. I'm stopping there, right? What's under the word Yisrael? So that horseshoe, the etnachta, it's called Ishe Hashem v'nachalato yochilun. Here I read it. Ishe Hashem v'nachalato Yochelun. Okay. What is a chelik v'nachala? What can Shevet Levi not have? Chelik is literally a portion, and nachala we know it means. No, you're right. Nachal is like a riverbed, but here nachala means
the land,
inheritance in the land. The word chelek is not clear, but if you search the word chelek in the Tanakh, you'll often see that it's referring to taking the spoil or booty from war. And that's what the Midrash book called Sifri, Rashi quotes. Okay, Shevet Levi may not have a chelek, a portion in the booty after war, nor a nachala, an inheritance in the land. Some of us have studied well at the end of Bamidbar and beginning of Devarim that God's divine plan is that Shevet Levi is meant from the beginning to be special, unique, with a spiritual role amongst the tribes of the Jewish people. And that is what? Number one, the role of Shevet Levi Hananel. What is their function, their job?
To work in the temple.
Beautiful, to work in the Beit HaMikdash. Number two, guard with guns. You're right that they'll be doing security around the Beit HaMikdash, but a major job is serving in the temple. Number two,
teach the people.
Teaching, education. We see in the last blessing of Moshe Rabbeinu prior to his death that he talks about that function, that role, about chinuch, education, Torah. In order to be an educator, you have to be a scholar. In order to be a scholar, you have to have strong bones, to sit in the yeshiva for years and years to become a scholar. It's not a 3 or 4 year degree of getting a BA or an MA, with all due respect to anyone studying that, okay? So we have to know that they don't have a nachala. So where do they live? We learned where they live.
In the
42 plus 6 cities. They will live scattered all across the country. 42 cities, shall we say, allocated to them by the 12 tribes. We learned that in Vayikra 25. And another 6 cities of Hebrew?
And Miklat.
Miklat. 6 cities of Miklat. 3 on this side, the west side, and the other on the east side. I'm not talking about New York City. Okay, 3 on the west side, 3 on the east side. 6 cities of Miklat refuge. That's where they're going to be sitting. But they don't